About environmental management practices to combat overfishing in the UAE. And if you've been following our sessions, yesterday we had a very interesting paper about marine and coastal pollution. And this is to continue the same theme. Actually, we are facing a lot of environmental challenges in the UAE, and one of them is related to the marine and coastal pollution and overexploitation as well. So Ms. Halima is going to tell us about this, and hopefully we'll all benefit from it. Thank you very much. Ms. Halima, please.
Hi everyone. Today my paper is about assessment of the environmental management practice to combat overfishing in the UAE. First, let me know what is the current situation of fisheries in the UAE. There's a three stock fish assessment done in 1975 and in 2002 and in 2011. There's a big reduction in fisheries in the UAE. It is estimated as 88% in Arabian Gulf and 94% in Sea of Oman. That's due to several causes. One of them is overfishing, one of them is marine pollution, one of them is climate change and coastal development. Why fishery is important to us? First, as the population increases, the concern of food security is increased. So fishery have the potential to reach the food security. But unfortunately not in its current situation, because now we are below the sustainable level. We need to reach to the sustainable level, then we can depend on the fisheries to reach the food security. Also, fish is a source of the protein, and it's related to our heritage, because in the period pre-oil period, we was dependent on the fisheries as a source of the income, as a source of the life. So it has the social value to us. Also, and one of the main challenges that we face it with the fisheries is that we try to protect fish stock and species, as well as we want to protect the profession itself. We want the fishermen to be here and to work as a fisherman because they represented us. Also, the fisheries is a source of the income for fishermen, and the rate of consumption of fish in the UAE is higher than the global consumption. We consume 24 kilograms per capita, while globally they consume 17 kilograms per capita. I give you some information about fisheries. Here in the UAE, we don't have industrial level. We only have artisanal fisheries. It's divided in two types: commercial and recreation. For the commercial, we mean the fishermen. The fishermen have two types of vessels. One is called lunch, and it's 15 meters, and it's wooden. And the other type is barat, which is only 10 to 8 meters in length, and we only have 5,000 fishermen. And for the recreational fishing, the number is doubled, so maybe we have 10,000 for the recreational. What is the management tool that we implemented? First, the advisory. We use the media, such as a newspaper, radio, and we use social media and guide and leaflet and the campaign. This is an example of how we use media to increase the awareness, even for the fishermen and for the people as well. Okay. This is the example for the long line, and the other one is the shark book. The one in the list is for the Safi and Cherry. For the right is Safi and Cherry. There's two local species. There are commercial species that they are overexploited, and they're represented only 7%. And that's below the sustainable level. The sustainable level is 13%. And currently it's banned in March and in April in their spawning season. And some of the students, they join us to be an inspector and inspect in the market for those two species. And the other one is the minimum legal length. That we define the length for the fish, that we ensure that the fishermen did not catch the fish until they reach in the sexual level that it allows them to release their eggs at least one time. The second method is economic or fiscal. This is the Ministry of Climate Change gives the fishermen subsidies. They give them the engine. This engine is environmentally friendly. Also, they give them a Rutna card. It's the same as Humat al-Watan card. This card gives them privilege in some places, such as if he wants to travel, maybe he has some discount in specific airlines. The third one is the most important one is the regulatory. We have the main law that management the fisheries is the law number 23 for 1999, and it's by law. This law is updated currently in 2016, sorry. Okay, and the cabinet resolution number 18, it's for the penalties. So if the fishermen do something that's against the law, they have some penalties. It could be fines or they take the license from them. And the ministerial degrees, one of the most important ministerial degrees, that there is no new license issuing anymore. So the number is fixed. Also at the minimum legal length, the band of the Safi and Cherry, the band of the shark species, especially that they in the CITES list. And the recreational fishing, it's also a new law that is implemented currently in 2016, that they define the quota for them, the type of the gear that they're allowed to use. It's only hook and line. And there is no, some of the gap that we have in fisheries sectors, there is no statistic information for 2014 and 2015. There is only for some emirates like Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and some other emirates they have, but it's not reliable data. Also, the figures show that after they implemented the law number 23 in 1999, the fish stock, the capture fisheries is reduced. It was 120, it's become now 47. Okay. The recommendation, first recommendation, we need to do socioeconomic study for the fishermen, because if we understand what is the situation of the fishermen, what's their source of the income, how if I implemented this law, it's affected them in economically way or in social way, so I can understand what is the tool that or the law that I issued will not affect them as well as it will save the fisheries. Development the fishery statistic programs for all UAE at the federal level, and alternative way to provide fish that like aquaculture. Aquaculture is a new industry in UAE. We only have approximately 10 farms that produce only 700, while the capture fisheries is 17,000 tons. Also, the developed gears like technology. We have one of the initiatives in the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment is a smart gargour that they put camera and chips in the gargour so they can track the gargours and monitoring the fish. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Okay.
Thanks, Halima. And please, I want to ask you about the chart. What is I mean, why in 19th century it was not that high, and when it reached 1999 it becomes high? Okay, and after that, why it decreased?
Why? Because the law, we issued the law that monetary.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Halima, for this presentation. Halima, I have noticed, I was reviewing regulations for the environment, different regulations, and I came across the regulation related to fisheries. What I have noticed, you don't have a pure law and regulation related to fisheries under the environmental law, as far as I know. You have a law, I think, from year 1993, I think. So it's recent, because I'm talking about like 2 or 3 years ago, and mainly it was like 4 chapters or 5 chapters talking about how to get licensed as a fisherman, licensing fisheries, like 3 chapters about fisheries, and only 1 for licensing or regulation related to protection of the environment, like 1 or 2 paragraphs. Can you elaborate more about this new updated law now? What is the difference between the old law and the new law, and so on? So maybe you mentioned this at the beginning of your presentation. I was not here trying to fix presentations here and there.
Okay. Mainly the law of the fisheries is like it gives us the framework, the outline how we will work. Like they say that determine the number of the crew members. Then we issue the ministerial decree that we determine the number of the crew member based on the length of the boat. So it's not the specific rules that it's put it for the, but it gives us the framework how we will work in during the or by the issuing the ministerial decrees. Yeah, okay. Actually, it's very difficult to update the law because it's not only the work of the ministry, but also that other competent authority is involved. Not only them, also the different councils also involved. So it's very difficult. It takes maybe 5 years. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any question?
We can move now to the next presentation. Noura, you ready? Yeah. We'll keep her till the end, the virtual session.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. My name is Noura Al-Takarli. Today I'm going to present my research paper, which is about the amount of waste produced by family households living in Dubai. The study objectives are to know the daily amount of waste produced by households in Dubai and to compare it with previous statistics and other statistics from different countries worldwide, and also to check whether there is any relationship between the income and the number of family members in relation to the amount of waste produced, and also to evaluate the efforts undertaken in Dubai to overcome that problem and achieve sustainable environment. The reasons why I chose this topic is because most of the studies conducted here in UAE are focusing on the treatment and management of waste instead of focusing on the amount that is actually produced. So I believe that in order to solve any problem, we need to focus on the reasons why we are producing this much and work on them instead of finding later solutions. And also I read in one newspaper that UAE is wasting a lot of amount of money on waste disposal. And according to Mariam Shamsi, she is the Deputy Minister of Environment and Water, that UAE's national economy is losing around 1.5 billion dirhams yearly as a result of lack of waste recycling and reprocessing. And also the importance of waste, the impacts also of waste on our environment and health. We all know that waste increases the greenhouse gases, including carbon dioxide and methane, which affect our climate. And also these waste accumulation are mosquito breeding habitats. They have bad impacts on animals, and they are, as I said earlier, waste of money. Here are some facts and problems. Dubai has undergone rapid urbanization since the discovery of oil in 1966. It was listed as one of the most developed countries in the world according to Khalij Time newspaper in 2014. UAE was classified as one of the high-income countries that generates 4,192 tons of waste per day. That is equal to 1.66 kg per capita. And the municipal solid waste generation in UAE is expected to increase by 2025 and reach up to 2 kg for each individual in a day, based on the expected population and economic growth. So the problem is that people are using more than what they need and producing large amount of waste without thinking about the consequences. And only a small amount of this waste is recycled, while the rest is going directly to UAE's landfills. And these landfills, although they are very efficient and all the methods used to get rid of waste disposal, but still they have some impacts on our environment. The study sample is 30 households, families from Dubai Municipality Building in Dubai Tower area. It was a random selection of 30 houses. The data were obtained directly from the wives by using a questionnaire, simple questionnaire, which consists of 4 questions. The inclusion criteria were families with more than 2 members, and the exclusion answers that were based on estimations were all excluded. This is the questionnaire. We have 4 questions. What is the total number of people living in the house, the monthly income, the size of the waste bag. Actually, I went to different stores here, Carrefour, the Union, to check the size here, what's the unit of measurement used, and here they are using the gallons and the centimeters. And also how many times do you throw the waste bag? It's daily, twice a week, or 3 times a week, depends. So here were my results. We have the study sample, the number of family members, the size of waste bag in gallons, the number of bags thrown daily. These were all from the questionnaire. And then the estimated waste amount produced by family in kg. Actually, I used an international volume to weight conversion factor. It was made by U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. They have an estimation for each type of waste. So I chose the municipal solid waste, the mixed municipal solid waste, multifamily and compacted. It's 1 cubic yard equal to 95 pounds. So I just played with the formula and extracted the last one, the last formula that I used to find the kg in this column. And then the estimated waste for each individual, just simply by dividing the total amount divided by the family members. And we can see that the minimum amount of waste produced was 0.79, while the maximum was 3.23. Here are just some charts to test the relationship between the waste produced and the income. So so people with high income are producing more waste, and also people with high family members also are producing more waste. The results, I calculated the mean from the previous table, and I found that the amount of waste produced by each individual is equal to 1.66 kg. Actually, as compared to previous statistics in 2012, I got the same results. Also, the amount is the same as the international amount of waste produced in UAE in 2012. But still, it's considered very high, very large as compared to other countries. And it's expected that by 2025, each individual will be producing 2 kg per capita in a day, which is with a total municipal solid waste generation of 10,184 tons in a day. Here is just a comparison with other Gulf countries. We can see that UAE is #1 in producing municipal solid waste per capita, which is equal to 1.66. While according to the total municipal solid waste, Saudi Arabia is the first one, but I believe this is normal because Saudi Arabia is 10 times larger than UAE. And we can also check the population number. It's 15 million compared to 2.5 million in UAE. So it's normal. And then again, we have UAE as the second. So all these are proofs that we are producing a very large amount of waste. The limitations were the small sample size because of the time, and also my results are based on estimations because I'm using that conversion factor in order to find the true actual weight for waste. We need to do waste sorting. We need to separate each bag and measure each one separately, each component separately. Now the UAE efforts, actually, UAE is always organizing educational and awareness programs. They are ensuring that recycling containers are placed all over the countries, in streets, in malls, and they are always encouraging more investments in this area in particular. And also, Dubai municipality is always, they have policies about waste management practices, and they are imposing fees and product charges and demand for recyclable products in markets. And now, the most recent thing they are doing is building the largest waste-to-energy plants in the Middle East. It will convert waste into energy, and it's expected that this one will be done by 1 year or 2 years from now. So the conclusions and the recommendations, the aim should be by all governments not to produce waste from the first place. And we need further education for the public, encouraging industries to increase product durability and minimize disposable products, packaging and its use of toxic compounds. And also the governments need to improve the analysis of what they are purchasing and what happens to it by reviewing and each major purchasing decision and the content of the material being purchased. And always remember, only buy what you need. Recycle paper, glasses, cans, plastics, and buy items made from recycled material. Rely more on reusable or refillable products. Repairing old and used items instead of buying new ones. And think about others who cannot afford to buy food and donate what you cannot eat. So act now for better tomorrow. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yeah, because I did the research during I was taking environmental course, so I had only 3 months to finish this research. So, yeah. No, just a building. It consists of 3 floors. So each 20 houses, I just took 10 from each floor. I did 30. Yeah, I believe I should increase. It's better if I increase. Actually, just the time was the problem. I was planning to make larger and take from different spots, but inshallah in the future maybe I can increase. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. No more questions, right, for Noura? Okay. We can proceed to the next presentation, please. That's Jana. Is Jana? Yeah, thank you. You're going to talk to us about perception of educators regarding students' reactions in the teaching of environmental education. This is a topic very dear to my heart. I think environmental education at a very young age has a very good chance of shaping the future. So let's hear what you can say about it, please. Definitely.
Great, wonderful. I need other microphone, please. Test? Okay. Okay, good afternoon. Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Jana Bourislan, and today I would like to present to you my paper which examines the perceptions of educators, administrators, and teachers regarding students' reactions in the teaching of environmental education. Of course, I'm going to define what environmental education is in addition to what a green citizen is. How do teachers and administrators perceive the behaviors and attitudes of students in the middle school and high school in the presence of environmental education or التربية البيئية? So we're going to identify key messages that emerge from the influence of the curricula of environmental education, raising questions about its effectiveness. So how effective is EE or environmental education in formal school setups, and suggesting what could be done in the future. Here's my outline. So I'm going to introduce my topic, and then I'm going to focus on the purpose of this investigation. Why did I investigate the behaviors and the perceptions of educators and admins in schools regarding students' behaviors and attitudes? A little bit about, okay, of course, the research questions, literature review briefly, because I don't have the privilege of extending all the time I want. Research design. Okay, like which instruments did I use and all of that. And then results, and the last slide pertains to the recommendations. What could be done further? In terms of real-life applications of school leadership, and that's why I asked administrators and took their perception into consideration. So first, to introduce, allow me to start by focusing on how global negative activities or environmental policies of countries create or increase the problems of the environment. This is according to Foley, De Vries, Essner, Barford, Bonnen, Carpenter, and Snyder in 2005. So, to speak of a sustainable future, it means we have to develop, it's the development that address the present needs without compromising capacity of future generations to fulfill their own lives and to have
a proper environment. This is according to Lyard, Davodi, and Bassi in 2001. So before I tell you about the school and how it's eco-friendly or how it implements environmental education, let's start by defining what environmental education is. So what is EE? It's a process of developing a world population that's aware and concerned about the total environment and its problems, and which has attitudes, skills, knowledge, motivations, and commitment to work individually and collectively towards solutions of current problems and the prevention of new ones, to take certain measures. Okay. Now, in the Lebanese Constitution, according to Habashi in 1964, there is no direct reference to the environment in our Lebanese Constitution. The only connection is that which lies in Article 15, banning any form of land acquisition except for public interest in terms of provision of public services, including roads, electricity, and water, according to Darwish in 2011. There's an increased concern, public concern, of environmental education problems, leading to the creation, that led to the creation of the Ministry of Environment in Lebanon on April the 2nd in 1993, according to Al-Fadl in 2010. So the problem is students do not have a deep awareness about the need to protect our environment. I'm not going to shift and discuss how, the crisis that we're all aware of in terms of the garbage crisis we have, but maybe with the help of grounding environmental education in schools, maybe we can reach somewhere. So a major achievement of our Ministry of Environment is the relation it started building with the stakeholders, with NGOs, to establish environmental education. So the MOE, or Ministry of Education, has been seeking to establish environmental education in schools, public and helping the private sector as well, since 1999. However, there are only few studies conducted on students' awareness and attitudes about environmental education for students in Lebanon. This is according to Awaini and Houri in 2006, and both doctors I had the privilege to work along with. I took this school. It's called, as you can see on the website, almanarmodernschool.com. If you want to reach out and check what they do, you can just, do it through the mobile and have full access to the curriculum, to the extracurricular activities, and all of that, as it might be a proper alignment, so to understand where this comes from in a better form. Now, what is a green citizen? A green citizen is a person who lives by the idea that we are an integral part of our environment. So you start building care, value, appreciation for the environment within the curriculum. Recognition that our future depends on how we care for our ecosystems. A sense of responsibility that leads to action on behalf of the environment. Okay. Okay. To focus a little bit more on the paper, the research questions were: how does environmental education influence students' behavior from school administrators' viewpoint? This is the first one. And the second one, it pertains to the attitudes of students, how these attitudes have changed, okay, from the perception of the teachers. So those were the guiding questions, per se. All right. There's a lot of literature review about the environment. However, I wish I can cover everything I've read so far. But mainly, I'm going to focus by choice on social constructivism,
which is an educational philosophy that heavily emphasizes social questions and questions about society itself in a better effort to create a more successful society in the future. At the center of the curriculum is a focus on social reform, al-islah, in that sense. And when we speak of environmental education, I mean, you're trying to create a sense of care, a sense of authenticity and integrity, really creating this kind of attention from the students towards their environment and their surrounding ecosystems. There are lots of philosophers like Dewey in 1929 and George Count 1932 who spoke about reform in schools and addressed the curriculum, putting the environment as a priority in the curriculum. If we want to teach maths, let it be environment-based. If we want to teach science as well, within the context of environment. Schools reflecting EE, or environmental education roles in society, first appeared where? In the UK, in US, and in Europe. This is according to Humphens and Blinkhorn in 2002. Moreover, we have initiatives in Canada, for instance, such as the Evergreen. Okay, that's a brilliant initiative. It shows you how outdoor playing and putting classes outdoors create the sense of value, the real sense of value for the students and for their environment. There's another initiative which was very interesting in the UK. It's called Learning Through Landscape. This is according to Moore 2006. Also brilliant ideas and brilliant results came afterwards. In Europe there was a rise on the eco schools. This is according to Standish 2012. There was what we call, later known as the Foundation of EE in Europe, FEEE, triple E, Foundation of Environmental Education in Europe. They came up with this whole school approach towards environmental education, and that means instead of just focusing on the students, no, all stakeholders should be developed and should be given the chance to care for the environment, so that parents, teachers, and students all attain the same values at the same time, consistently. Okay, I'm going to skip a little bit, all right, to focus more on what the school does. So what does Al-Manar Modern School do in terms of environmental education? So as you can see over here, they focus on having the students reuse, recycle, reduce the usage of plastic, nylon, mirrors, tires. They produce couches, for instance, in the teachers' offices. When I went there, I examined how they do the plantation pots. It was really brilliant to do that, in addition to graffiti, and it's in the midst of the forest and the pine trees in Ras Al Matan. Next to the school, which has a modern kind of building lit from the sun directly, you have a space for plantation. And we will see at the end of the results and the recommendations how plantation was really, really effective in having to create a sense of awareness, at least, believe to say, in terms of organic food importance, in terms of changing habits into cleanliness and all of that. So it was one of those major shifts in paradigm for the students. Not only that, but as you can see, the teacher helps the students to plant radish, parsley, tomatoes, and beans, and all of that, they take them to the cafeteria in order to produce their own salads, for instance, and so on. Also, the science fair and the arts fair aim at sustainability. So everything is oriented towards innovation and sustainability. All the projects, I'm going to focus on one project only. This is the arts fair as well, in addition to the science fair. So it all pertains to the well-being of the environment. But let's take a look at this one. جائزة المجلس العربي للموهوبين والمبدعين. Okay. This is a urine-powered generator. So the generator, actually, the students of grade 11, 3 students won the prize, and the the generator, it shows you how, they show you how using some technique in hydrogen, they can actually make the generator work and produce electricity using urine, all right? And that was based on one of those science projects in Africa. Some students tried to do it, but it failed. However, they changed one technique and they took it from there, and they have the patent and all of that. So this is one of the works that they've come up with. Okay, another on the water, winning some contests. So the teacher of the communication arts who teaches them how to take proper videos and all of that in social media, they won also a prize about how to include, to make the environment inclusive within their communication arts program, and they won the first prize over here for the video. Even for kindergarten, you know, reduction and reuse is also emphasized at this age group also. Choose to reuse, for instance. There's an arts fair. It's also, instead of throwing things, let's reuse them. Let's make them into art. And I'm not talking about anything. I'm talking about garbage, literally. Oh, I have to skip this for now. It's too much literature. Yeah, I mentioned that. Okay, so the research methods. Which method did I use? Of course, in order to come up with the results and the recommendations later on, I had to collect data, analyze data in a qualitative fashion, and interpret the observation through what? Through certain patterns. When we have big ideas, we get them all together and we start observing. On one variable, we take the administrators, they were 5, okay, and the other 15 were teachers. So you can see the big ideas that would emerge from the observations after asking each alone 9 open-ended questions, and we will see them in a minute. Here are the questions. So first of all, I asked each and every educator about the age groups that are actually changing their personal and social behavior. Also about whether or not the school, if EE is implemented properly, can create what we call a green citizen, and someone who really cares for the environment and is conscious about their activities. What's being done to engage students to act, and what still needs to change in order to maintain that on the long run. Which program or activity was the most successful in order to have students attain habits that are eco-friendly and really green habits, as they say. To which level do students' actions environmentally conscious inside school, but most importantly, outside school? And that's when the value is really intrinsic, instead of just being something that I have to do, otherwise maybe I'm going to be, punished or something. What behavioral changes do you think EE has created? We're going to see those changes in terms of the development on the affective domain, emotions, and cognitive, mental, in addition to personal and social development of the students. So the results. The 9 interview questions that, I asked the 20 participants, came up with a final report, and I have these big ideas emerging, okay? And the first one is that when you have an environmental education curriculum, yes, you can, this is according to the, of course, to the participants. From their perception, they said it's able to produce a green citizen. Of course, not 100% of them said that, but I remember 19 out of 20 validated that they think it is possible. It is possible. Second, the result, almost half of the educators perceive many students to have become, first, on a personal scale, they're more responsible, caring on the affective domain, and innovative. They have new ways of looking at things, and instead of just being maybe a little bit lousy or reckless. Through what? Through reinforced critical thinking, through PBL, problem-based learning, and authentic modes of learning in the real life setups. And mainly, they discussed plantation and cleanliness, which I will address towards the recommendations. Where were we? Okay. So half the participants agreed that environmental education curriculum has positively affected students' social skills through leadership and partnership skills. They became more collaborative, according to more than half the participants. Also, around half the participants perceive students' awareness of seeing consequences. So you want the student to be conscious inside and outside school. And I mean, one way of looking at it is whether or not the student is able to evaluate the consequences behind their behavior. Fourth result, more than half of the participants reported the age of 9 being critical in which terms? In what terms? Because they're able to adopt new values and walk through without much resistance. So they said this age is critical, and that's reported by more than half of them. So the activity that successfully engaged students was mainly plantation on the long run. They enjoyed it so much, and like 30% of the participants said that it was plantation and not the other activities, just like the fairs and the cleanliness and all of that. Sixth, more than half of the participants reported, also more than half of the students were environmentally conscious, especially inside schools. Of course, you have regulations and you have al-thawab wal-iqab and all of that, you know, this system of reward and punishment. Outside school, it's less, of course, by half. Like 30% of them said, you need to be consistent along with the parents, and in order to do that, other stakeholders have to also get their own workshops, not just the students, but maybe teachers, in addition to their parents, to follow up with you. Seventh, behaviors reported to have changed according to the perception of 20 educators were mainly related to improving in cleanliness. This is what was observed and agreed upon. Finally, around half of the teachers and administrators reported what the school needs to have is to push for governmental law enforcement. Without putting this as a priority on the agenda, on the political agenda, we cannot, I believe we cannot make much difference. It's just going to be on small-scale schools and personal initiatives and grassroots approach to things, which yes, does make a difference and is beautiful, but is it enough? Is it adequate? Is it collective in a way? Also, a more applied school philosophy, educational philosophy, can bring about further consistency along with parental support to get students to maintain this on the long run, and not just to make it just now a habit of the here and the now, but to behold it dearly to their hearts. Okay. Recommendations. So in this last slide, I have the recommendations that are directly related to the results I got from the study. So in the 6 steps, mainly we have to develop a CPD, continuous professional development, regarding the EE, regarding environmental education for each of the teachers and the parents, if we really want to have students being consciously aware of the importance of the environment on the long run, so that they're green citizens after 18 years old also. Law enforcement is very, very important. Otherwise, it will always remain on, again, an initiative level and the personal scale and micro scale. Grade 4, we talked about learners who are 9 years old, and if we study it even more carefully and examine it under future studies, maybe we should develop a special curriculum for this age group, for grade 4 students, to help them intrinsically gain the values of environmental education through specific themes. Thank you very much. This is it. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer, or, concerns, comments, more than welcome. Yes, please. Let me give you the microphone. Oh, you have it? Cool.
Anna, thank you very much for this interesting approach.
Thank you.
It's actually a very insightful presentation that shows how educators are perceiving the efforts done in schools to raise awareness in children.
Very true.
But how about environmental literacy? Have you tried to measure the environmental literacy level of the students to make sure that they're actually gaining some much needed information and skills and knowledge about the environment through all these activities and this curriculum, this quite ambitious curriculum?
Very interesting question. Measuring their environmental literacy is usually done through the exams. I did not really, in the written exams, I did not collect their exams because I was focusing on the perception of educators rather than students themselves. But certainly, if I want to, for instance, study in-depth grade 4, as per mentioned, maybe it's important to see what these students have grasped. Not just to have our own benchmark and our own expectations and assumptions, but to see really what have they grasped in the sense of environmental education, what is still lacking, what are they aiming at to know more about, per se. Thank you very much.
And I've been told that Ms. Laila Al-Amri is ready to present her virtual presentation, and she's actually keen about that. She's in the US, and it's a pleasure to have her with us. I'm sure the time difference is making it very difficult for her to stay awake for our conference, but we really appreciate it, and we're very lucky to have her contribution. So please, if she's ready, she can start.
Leila, can you hear me? One moment. I can see. Okay, you should be able to click the talk button now. And there is no need to share your screen. You can move through the slides. You already have them.
Yeah, but hello, could you hear me?
Yeah, you can close the PowerPoint, or yeah, just proceed.
It's better for me, so I could control the slides. So
All
can
right.
you hear me?
You control them.
Hello, could you hear me?
Yes.
Just verify that you could hear me clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, so I'll start.
Laila, thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much for joining us, and we're really happy to have you. You know me, I'm Dr. Maida Musa, and I'm really glad that you could join us from US today, and please start your interesting topic.
The privilege is mine, Victoria. Okay, my presentation is about the integrated management system of Wadi al-Wara'a National Park. So Wadi al-Wara'a National Park is located on the northeast of UAE in the Emirate of Fujairah, between the towns of Bidya and Khorfakan on the Oman Gulf coastline. It's part of a high land and shrublands of the Hajar mountain range, reaching an elevation of 1,080 meters, which is considered as one of the global 200 ecoregions according by the World Wildlife Fund. It was declared as a protected area on March 2009, and it was the first mountain protected area in the UAE, followed by the Ramsar wetland on being a Ramsar wetland on November 2010. It covers an area almost 220 square kilometers. It contains of the green zone, which is dedicated which is the smallest area, and it's dedicated for visitors and tourism. Followed by a larger area, which is the core zone, which has the most biodiversity species of fauna and flora, which is actually, that's the area we want to protect. Followed by the yellow area or zone, the buffer zone. It is created to protect the core zone. To accomplish Fujairah, the significance of Wadi al-Wara'a, to accomplish Fujairah Everest of conserving its terrestrial area, in 2006, Fujairah municipality collaborated with the Emirates Wildlife Society and the WWF to protect the water reservoir from overexploitation. However, the project led to unexpected discoveries. Wadi al-Wara'a has a high water quality, it has a rich wildlife, and also it contains 29 archaeological heritage sites that go back to 300 BC. So in this presentation, I'll be just concentrating on the first two significance. The significance of its water characteristics. Due to the topography of the area, it created a unique hydrological system that allows runoff water to go through rocks and create a freshwater ponds, pools, streams, and waterfalls, which is not common in an arid area. It has an exceptionally good quality in terms of hydrochemical parameters. It meets most of the World Health Organization standards for drinking and bottled water. It is classified as magnesium bicarbonate, which is an indicator that it is recent water recharge, and it's an active recharge system. The significance of biodiversity. Wadi al-Wurai'a has or includes or contains 1,146 species that is recorded in its biodiversity inventories, including 3 plants, which are 44% of UAE terrestrial plant, with the unique and rare orchid, as you see in the left end of the screen. It contains 20 mammals, which are 41% of UAE mammals, including 2 endangered, international endangered species, the Arabian Tahr and the Arabian leopard. Also, it has a vast or a big number of birds, 109 bird species, also including the Egyptian vulture, which is endangered, and the rare Omani owl. 15 reptiles, which with the Omani carpet viper is one of the endemic or native reptiles of the region. The Dara fish is the only native fish species present in the Wadi al-Wurai'a National Park. And I have to emphasize here, when I say native or endemic, it means these species, you can't find them except in this kind of places. So they are exclusively here in the UAE. Also, 779 arthropods species, 85 of them are new even to science. So that's something interesting too. Okay, many protected areas are vulnerable for several kinds of threats. So Wadi al-Wurai'a is vulnerable to these kind of threats: the water degradation and overexploitation, overgrazing, hunting, introduced alien species, urbanization and habitat fragmentation, mining, pollution, tourism, and climate change, of course. But due to the time constraint, I'll just talk about the water degradation and the overgrazing. So why is water degradation is one of the major threats on Wadi al-Wurai'a, because the fresh water system is the ecological asset of the Wadi, and that water allowed a vast or a wide range of fauna and flora species. So any degradation of the water quality will lead to the degradation of all ecosystems that are dependent on it. Although Wadi al-Wurai'a is considered as a tourist attraction, even before it was a protected area, however, it lacks the infrastructure or the basic infrastructure such as restrooms and litter bins. Unfortunately, it resulted with considerable kind of degradation, like we're going to see now. Okay. Yeah. Such as graffiti, painting on rocks, using toxic paints, especially in the waterfall area. Widespread of litter from every kind. Also food deposits that attract feral animals such as dogs, cats, and mice. Also, there are the animal and human fecal were detected. Okay. So, high concentration of chloroform bacteria was detected in all the tested water bodies. That, of course, these bacteria are from animal fecal. These concentrations are 50 times higher from the WHO standard, which is 100 colony forming unit, per 100 milliliters. So you can see here the numbers are from 700 to 8,000. So it's way above the WHO standard. As for the E. coli bacteria from human fecals, it wasn't in all the tested areas. It's not all in all water bodies. And also, if you can see the diagram on your right, it is less than 100 colonial forming units per 100 milliliters. But it's also something that we have to take into consideration. Now, to prevent further the degradation of the water, several management was done. First, the launch of the Water Research and Learning Program, the WRLP, which is in September 2013. Its aim is to establish a water quality database, which is important for any management plan. Measuring and monitoring water quality parameters, also increasing capacity building and awareness through, I call it unconventional way, which is a program, a 2-week program for residents. So this program, the resident scientist, is actually a program that is designed for people that does not have a scientific background. So they teach them how to take water quality parameters, and their measurements will be added to the database. So that's for individuals, private entities, government entities, so it's part of capacity building and awareness. Also, of course, that's something we know is including the public in cleaning campaigns. Also, a very drastic kind of management is that Wadi al-Wuray'a National Park was closed in December 2013 in order to make it more resilient and to help it more, resilient. Okay. The second threat is overgrazing. So it's also one of the major threats. So overgrazing, why is that? Because as you see on the picture, grasslands, if they were grazed heavily, they will lose their vegetation cover, which means that they will have soil erosion, which leads to loss of the useful species, the decomposers, which are responsible of the fertility and the moisture, the production of the soil, so they get dried out. So when you have a dry soil, you will lose the plant cover or the vegetation cover, which means that it's a part of, you're losing a biodiversity. And if you lose that, you also lose what depends on the plants, which is the hierarchy of animals. So overgrazing actually, or losing the vegetal cover, means losing the vegetation foundation, or losing the foundation of any food web. Overgrazing status in Wadi Ghura'a National Park is entirely linked to feral goats, and in some extent to herds of sheep and goats and couple of donkeys, but the main reason is goats. So goats actually, they can cause several problems. First of all, water degradation or water pollution, because they like to defecate in water bodies, which increase the ammonia and nitrite in those water bodies. Also, goats or feral goats, population is actually increasing rapidly because, or due to the, they have a high rate, they have a high breeding rate, and actually the disappearance of potential predators. Also, feral goats graze vegetation indiscriminately, which means that they eat anything green. Unlike other animals that they eat specific kind of plants, like the mountain gazelle and the Arabian tar. So, for all these reasons, and plus the drought and climate change, actually, feral goats jeopardize the native vegetation and also the dependent native wildlife in the food web. So the whole hierarchy in the pyramid is jeopardized or in threat. Now the management. The feral animals management actually faces three kinds of challenges: the monitoring population, how they could monitor; the control program, how we could control them; and the monitoring impacts after the control program. So the monitoring population, the best until now way of monitoring their population is by aircraft aerial surveys. But of course that's not enough. You have to do it frequently, and the frequency is dependent on the demography of the goats. Also, now if the population reach a threshold that could threaten the vegetation cover, a control program, either mustering or eliminating them, killing them. Then the monitoring impact. After the control program, we have to look for the recolonization of the feral goats, and also the relation between goat population and its effect on vegetation cover, diversity, abundance, and productivity, etc. Okay, this is a sample of an environment management plan about the overgrazing that we talked about. Under the strategic objective of Wadi Ghura'a National Park, which is to restore and sustainable management of the fresh water, we could have sub-objectives. For the overgrazing, the most or the operational objective is managing overgrazing to reduce its impact on vegetation. How we can manage that? Like we said, by managing the existence of feral animals or feral goats. Okay, how we can do that by doing 1, 2, 3, like we said, conducting aerial surveys every probably 4 months, implementing control program, and research studies, recolonization and the impact of goats on plants, diversity, productivity, and abundance. Conclusion. Wadi al-Wara'a National Park is one of the only known sites for a number of rare, endangered, and new to science species, strengthening legal enforcement in the area of water resources, overgrazing, hunting, and invasive alien species is very important. A memorandum of understanding between the neighboring emirates and countries is important in regards of reducing the impact of urbanization, habitat fragmentation, and invasive alien species. Further investigation and studies are needed, in which collaboration with university, institutions, specialists, all that. Okay. Effective, in order to have a rapid, we have to have effective surveillance equipment, and networks are important to detect emerging intrusions like hunters who want to hunt or invasive alien species. Increasing the capacity building and awareness by designing standardized programs that allows individual and the public to participate in monitoring and recording results of ecological studies is also crucial. Thank you for listening.
First, thank you, Leila, for this brilliant presentation. I have a question regarding the management tool. Does the management tool, like the action plan that you show us, it is implemented already currently, or this is your suggestion?
Okay, Leila, I have another question for you, please, okay?
No, that's my suggestion.
You talked about water contamination, right? That the bacterial content in the water was high above the WHO recommended standards.
Yeah.
But you didn't touch on that in your management recommendations. Can you please elaborate what is being done or will be done or should be done to address this issue?
Actually, according to the recent science report in 2005 and 2016, actually what is more what they found after they closed the national park, that actually the concentration increased for both the chloroform bacteria and the E. coli. So the chloroform bacteria we can understand because of the abundance of the feral goats. But what they don't understand is the E. coli. How can it be increasing in a very high numbers? So what they said that they need to make urgent investigation to pinpoint the reasons of this unexpected increase. So that's their suggestion, actually, that they have to have more investigation in order to know, because they don't have any reason.
Starting first to identify the causes of such an abnormality is always the first step on finding the solution. And thank you very much for this very informative and interesting presentation. I'd really like to thank all our presenters today.
Exactly.
Ms. Jana, your presentation was really brilliant and inspiring. Halima, it was outstanding. Thank you very much. And Noura, although she left, she had a very good research idea. Only the time limitations affected the outcome, but it's actually food for a major study later on. I really want to thank you, all of you, Laila in particular, for joining us from the US. And with this, we conclude our session for today. We conclude our conference. And let me ask Dr. Mu'taz. Dr. Mu'taz is happy. He's quite tired. Thank you very much all for gracing us with your presence, and would love to see you at each and every event that HBMSU organizes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.